Hello, welcome back to Bioclass Bites. In this video, we are going to talk about the scientific consensus on the causes of and solutions to climate change. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like and share this video. In the previous video, wherein we talk about the current status and um, observable effects and evidence of climate change, that video ended with this question, what brought us here? So in this video, we will talk about the different causes of and possible solutions to climate change. It has been established that one of the major reasons why the call to address climate change seems to fall on deaf ears is because we have this group of people we call climate change deniers. You can actually do a quick Google search about them, and then you can find out that there are several, a certain population, okay, a certain percentage of human population still deny the existence of global warming, climate change, and that they are the results of human activities. I think this is the same hurdle or the same challenge science teachers or biology teachers face whenever they talk about something controversial such as climate change, evolution, and other other big topics, genetic engineering and such. So I hope no that you student or whoever is watching this video does not fall into this group of climate change deniers, because we really want to focus on science, scientific claims, okay, or science-based evidence that talks about the current global status, okay. That's also the reason why Naomi Oreskes, a historian of science, presented this in her TED Talk, the topic on why we should trust scientists, especially when it comes to fighting the climate change denial movement. Okay, I actually require you to watch this video. Okay, you will not only does she talk about climate change denial, but she also talks about the scientific method and why it works and why we should trust it. Okay, so I require you to watch this video, and I'll provide the link in the description below. This simplified animation of the greenhouse effect is from NASA JPL Caltech, wherein the fictional characters of Sheldon, Leonard, Howard, and Raj from the Big Bang Theory works as scientists. Okay, I love that show. That's my favorite TV show. So anyway, so the greenhouse effect actually explained to us why we have such rising temperature within our atmosphere. So it starts off with the Earth receiving sunlight, okay? So the sunlight reaches our planet, and ideally, some of those energy is radiated back into outer space. Okay, so that's the ideal situation. So that's initially, what should happen. However, because of the presence of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, in our atmosphere, they actually prevent that escape of energy back into space. So what happens is they just stay within our planet, which causes the rising in our temperature. Okay. So again, no, most of the heat is absorbed by the greenhouse gases, and then they are reflected in all directions that warms our planet. If you're interested to see more of this animation and narrative explanation, you can actually visit the NASA Global Climate website. I'll provide the link in the description below. So what are those greenhouse gases? Okay, so these are the gases that contribute to the greenhouse effect. So you have your water vapor. This increases as the Earth's atmosphere warms. Okay, so they all come from bodies of water. Okay, nitrous oxide. This is from the use of chemical and commercial and organic fertilizers, fossil fuel combustion, nitric acid production, and biomass burning. Okay. Then methane is mostly from decomposition of waste in landfills, agriculture and rice cultivation, ruminant digestion, and manure management. So those are from livestock, from pigs and from cows and all. Okay, so they produce methane. And of course, carbon dioxide. This is the product of respiration of organisms and volcanic eruptions. They are also from deforestation, land use changes, okay, conversion of forest into into farming lands, and then of course burning of fossil fuels to generate our electricity. So from our world in data, you can check this out. I'll provide the link in the description below. They present this graph that shows us the global average long-term atmospheric concentration of carbon dioxide measured in parts per million. Okay, so as you can see in the past, no, 800,000 years ago, so we just have this, rise and fall of atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration. However, along during this time, okay, at the dawn of human civilization, and then at the start of industrial revolution, and then going towards the modern period, no, there's this alarming rise of atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration that had never happened in the past. We have never reached beyond 300 parts per million of carbon dioxide for the past 800,000 years. But now we have reached up to, just in 2018, we are now 400 plus parts per million of atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration. And our scientists, okay, were able to see the correlation between the rise and fall of carbon dioxide, and then eventually the delayed rise and fall of temperature of our planet. So this one is from NOAA, and now known as National Center for Environmental Information, okay, or so NOAA stands for National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So they were able to track, again, no, 800,000 years ago, they were able to track the trend of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and then they were able to compare that with the changes in the Earth's temperature, okay, in our planet. And they were able to see that as the carbon dioxide rises, okay, parts per million rises, after certain delays, the temperature of the Earth will also rise. And like what I've mentioned, no, never in the past have we exceeded 300 parts per million of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So that's the reason why we have this unprecedented warming of our planet. Now, this one is a more recent graph of carbon dioxide and Earth surface temperature still from NOAA, climate.gov. You can visit it in the, I'll provide the link in the description below. Okay, so as you can see here, around 1978, 1980s, there's this progressive rise of carbon dioxide emissions or concentrations, the gray line, atmospheric carbon dioxide emission, that also coincides with the drastic increase on Earth's average temperature. Okay, so from 1978 onwards to where we are right now. So as the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere increases, so does, with a certain delay, so does the Earth's temperature. Greenhouse gases are actually not that bad, okay? We used to have normal levels of atmospheric greenhouse, and that made it possible for life in our planet to exist. So we see here two planets, and let's compare their levels of greenhouse effect, okay? So in the planet Mars, there's not enough greenhouse effect, okay? So there's not enough greenhouse gases in its atmosphere. Okay, so it has a low atmospheric pressure with little to no methane or water vapor. So it made the planet become largely frozen on its surface. Thus, there's no evidence of life on this planet. So this is what could happen if there's not enough greenhouse effect. Venus, on the other hand, has too much greenhouse effect. Okay, the Venus has 154,000 times as much carbon dioxide in its atmosphere as Earth. So this results into Venus having a runaway greenhouse effect, and it raises the temperature so high that's enough to melt lead on its surface. So not enough greenhouse effect, the planet will become too cold. Too much greenhouse effect, the planet will become too hot. So what about Earth? Okay, if what we had in the past, like the normal atmospheric level of greenhouse gases, that was enough to actually preserve life on our planet, what's happening right now, as we've shown you, is that due to human activities, there's this trend of increasing carbon dioxide in the atmosphere that eventually results into a delayed but very evident increase in global temperature. So what could happen if our greenhouse gases continuously increase and the greenhouse effect persists? So on average, the Earth will become warmer. Some regions may welcome the warmer temperatures, but others may not. Some animals are actually not cannot tolerate an increase in temperature, such as those sea creatures, coral reefs. Okay, corals in coral reefs, they may not handle that increase in temperature, resulting into them dying. Okay, warmer conditions will probably lead to more evaporation and precipitation, and this could actually disrupt the global climate and global weather patterns. Stronger greenhouse effect will warm the ocean and partially melt glaciers and ice sheets, increasing the sea level. So we've seen this in the previous video on the evidence of climate change. Ocean water will also expand, contributing to sea level rise. So this is the prediction that could happen within our planet if the carbon dioxide concentration continuously increases in our atmosphere. So the scientific community, they had a consensus that human activities are the most likely main cause of global warming in the mid 20th century. Okay, so we've talked about this. Okay, in the previous video that majority of scientists and scientific institutions agree that human activities cause global warming, cause greenhouse effect, cause climate change. So what are those human activities? So this is from Solar Impulse Foundation. You can visit their website. I'll provide the link in the description below. So we see here the first human activity will be the burning of fossil fuels. Okay, so the massive use of fossil fuels. Okay, I hope you know where fossil fuels are from and how they're produced. So the burning of coal, oil, and gas produces carbon dioxide, and we all know this is the most important greenhouse gas in the atmosphere. Okay, so we burn fossil fuels to generate electricity and power, and that's the main cause of global warming. Deforestation also, so deforestation, removal of forest. So this is the exploitation of forest because we all know that trees, being photosynthetic organisms, they remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and they use that to produce food and release oxygen. So if you remove the organisms that take away carbon dioxide, then it causes the carbon dioxide level to increase. Okay, when they're cut down, this positive effect is lost. Okay, the absorption of carbon dioxide, and the carbon stored in the trees is released into the atmosphere. Next will be intensive farming, another cause. Um, because the first thing they do is to convert forests into farmlands. So they convert forests, okay, they cut down trees, they convert large photosynthetic organisms and just plant smaller crops. Okay, they simplify the ecosystem by reducing the biodiversity and just planting one type of species or one type of plant. Okay, so in cattle and sheep produce large amounts of methane, okay, when they digest their food, while fertilizers produce nitrous oxide emissions. So if you're not planting, if you're converting it into a ranch or into a poultry or into grazing areas for your livestock, then whenever they defecate and as part of their waste, they produce large amounts of methane, which, if you still remember, methane is another greenhouse gas. Okay, so it says here they are from domestic livestock. Okay, waste of manure or waste management of domestic livestock. Other human activities will be waste disposal. So waste management methods like landfills and incineration, so burning of waste, burning of garbage, emit greenhouse and toxic gases, including methane. Okay, so they are released into the atmosphere. Another will be mining. So modern life is highly dependent on mining and metallurgical industries. Okay, so we dig up rocks and minerals from the soil and metals from the soil. and from the earth, and then metals and minerals are raw materials in construction, transportation, and manufacturing goods. So this market accounts for 5%. Um, Mining of earth materials account for 5% of all greenhouse emissions. And overconsumption, okay, it plays a major role in climate change. This is responsible for the overexploitation of natural resources from international freight transport, and then to other excessive purchases. We will actually talk about this in the last video, overconsumption. Okay, again, you may visit Solar Impulse Foundation if you want to read more about this global warming causes. I'll provide the link in the description below. Aside from direct effect to global warming, this article from the Union of Concerned Scientists also discusses coal power impacts. Okay, so in terms of air pollution, coal-fired power plants is already also linked with human diseases such as asthma, cancer, heart and lung ailments, and neurological problems. Another thing, when you burn charcoal in your grill at home, ash is also a leftover. So same is true for coal-fired power plants, which produce hundreds of millions of tons of coal ash every year. So most of them are spewed into the atmosphere, while others are thrown into bodies of water, such as ponds and lakes and landfills, resulting into contamination of those waterways and possible contamination of drinking water supplies. So if you want to read more about this article, I'll provide the link in the description below. So it was mentioned in the Solar Impulse article, no, that deforestation is one of the major causes of global warming. Okay, so up to 20% annual global greenhouse gas emissions are from deforestation or cutting down of trees. So imagine this area. This is from Brazil. You can see here the clear cut away, okay, clear cutting of forest, okay, which will be cleared for agriculture. So the deforestation by removing or cutting down the organisms that remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, it actually increases the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. One soccer field every second is the size of forest being lost. Or 5.2 million hectares every year is being lost in terms of our forest areas. Okay, so you can actually check out these two articles about the conversation on the ethics of climate change and this infographic about International Day of the Forest. I'll provide the link in the description below. Now, for some people, okay, especially those climate change deniers, they say that um, climate change, global warming, greenhouse effect are not necessarily linked to human activities. One of the things they look at is that there is a possible increase in solar activity, or we are receiving, or the sun is radiating too much sunlight or too much solar energy. That's why our planet is heating up. Okay, actually, this was clarified by the scientific community. This one is a graph from NASA that shows us the global surface temperature in red, okay, and the sun's energy in the yellow line. Okay, so as you can see, um, the solar activity is being mirrored by the Earth's temperature up until 1960s. Okay, so this was the data from 1880 to 1960s. However, sometime in 1978, 1980, as you can see, there's this decrease in solar activity. Okay, so it means that the sun is not being as active, okay, or the sun is not sending out more, or the sun is actually sending out less solar energy into space. Okay, so it tells us that the sun is not really the one to blame, as you can see here in this short NASA article. Okay, so the sun is not supposed to be blamed because satellite data show a slight drop in solar irradiance or solar radiation. Okay, this is the measure of amount of energy that the sun gives up over a period of time. So if the sun is, there's a decrease in solar energy, but there's still a continuous increase in Earth's temperature, then the sun is not the cause for that. So this is actually one of the refutations against climate change deniers. Okay, so this is one of the things that scientists would like to clarify, that it is not the sun that causes global warming and climate change. It is most probably due to human activities. After discussing the scientific consensus on the causes of climate change, now let's talk about the scientific consensus on the solutions to climate change. So what can we do about it as proposed by the scientific community? So this is an article from Scientific American. You can visit this. I'll provide the link in the description below. 10 solutions for climate change. Okay, this is from Bielo, or published last 2007. Okay, so first would be to forego fossil fuels. Okay, he mentioned in his article that we should actually totally stop burning fossil fuels and look for alternative sources of energy. Infrastructure upgrade. Okay, to make our infrastructure, to make our buildings, to make our schools and houses more eco-friendly or more environment friendly. Okay, move closer to work so that you will not have to use a car or public transportation, so that lowers the burning of fossil fuels. Okay, in terms of petroleum, be efficient by buying more eco-friendly appliances, okay, more energy efficient appliances. That's actually quite pricey in the beginning, but in the long run uses less energy, so therefore less burning of fossil fuels. Consuming less, okay, again, we've mentioned overconsumption. We will actually have a separate lesson about overconsumption and how they contribute to climate change. Unplug electricities and unplug devices when not being used. Eat smart and go vegetarian, because we've mentioned that livestock, pigs and cows and poultry, they actually add up methane in the atmosphere whenever their manure or waste are managed. Okay, so stop cutting down trees. So again, deforestation. Instead of cutting down trees, we should be planting more trees, because trees and plants, they are the ones who take carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So we should plant more trees. Those trees will lessen the carbon dioxide levels. Experiment earth. Okay, that's using scientific experiments, or finding scientific procedure that could actually alleviate the effects of climate change, and that could help us battle it and get and triumph over the crisis of climate change. And one child policy. So actually having one child less, or sometimes just having one child could actually greatly impact the future, because if less people are being born, then it means that less people are consuming fossil fuels, less people are consuming gas, less people are consuming, so that could significantly have a better effect for our climate. So this one is from Center for Global Development. Okay, so again, no, they are reinforcing that avoiding deforestation is actually a better solution than reforestation, or than planting trees. Okay, so they have this graph here. So this is a forest, no, that's untouched. So they actually can remove 165 tons of carbon per hectare. Okay. However, when you cut down trees, or when they're burnt down or converted into farmlands, they actually emit carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. So if you happen to replant them, okay, as an effort, okay, to save the planet, okay, so planting trees can actually take 5, 10, 15, 30 years before they can even reach even half of the original level of the forest before it was cut down. Okay, it can take so in the first few years, they can only remove 2 to 5 tons of carbon per hectare per year. Unlike when you left the forest untouched, wherein they can continuously remove 165 tons of uh, tons of carbon per hectare per year. So what they're trying to say is it's better to avoid deforestation, avoid this and avoid this. So there's no need for deforestation if the forest is preserved and to actually maintain what we have right now. Okay? If you want to read this article, I'll provide the link in the description below. Now, this one is from um, Nature Conservancy from Eureka Alert. Okay, natural climate solutions, top 10 mitigation pathways. Okay, so new study finds that nature is vital to beating climate change. So from there, they say that reforestation. Okay, so again, no, if you can actually plant trees on those vacant lots, okay, or those farmlands, if you can actually plant trees there, then that's actually a good way to remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Okay, so then avoid forest conversion. We've talked about this, natural forest management. So these are the top three mitigation pathways for natural climate solutions. Then it also includes avoiding peatland impacts, trees in cropland, conservation agriculture, restoration of coastal wetlands. So, but the top three will still be we'll still be talking about the forest or preserving the forest that we have, okay? So I'll provide the link in the description below. Now, we all know this. This article was published in 2007. Even before this article was published, a lot of people already know how to address climate change. But after how many years? 13 years, we still have that same problem. Okay, we still have the issue on climate change. This was published in October 2017. This one, when was this published? 2014. So after 5 years, how come we still have problems on climate change? Okay, in our next video, that's our topic, climate change as a challenge to ethical action. What is taking us so long to solve this crisis? That ends our video. I hope you learned something new. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like and share this video. Till next time, goodbye.